The last week has seen rugby champions crowned in the URC, the English Premiership, Super Rugby Americas, the Oceania Women's Championship, the Africa Cup for the ladies. And we have more finals games coming up this weekend. Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup, June 18th, 2025. My name is Big Mike. We are here at Big Mike Sports. Now let's talk some rugby. Alright, as well as crowning all of those champions last weekend, we also look forward to this weekend where we have a final in Super Rugby. We have conference finals in Major League Rugby. We have semi-finals in the top 14. And the British and Irish Lions start their 2025 tour. But enough of all that. Let's get to the roundup. We are going to start with international action on the men's side of the globe. In Rugby World Cup qualifying action, we have the Asia Rugby Championship. Last weekend saw Sri Lanka go down 38-34 in a narrow one to Korea, as Hong Kong, the favourites, took down the UAE 43-10. That was the first round of action. Hong Kong and Korea looking good so far. In another random international from the weekend, the Cayman Islands beat Bermuda 18-10. In international women's action from the weekend, the Oceania Championship finished up in Fiji, with Fiji defeating Samoa 24-20. Final results in the Oceania Championship: Fiji first, Samoa second, and Tonga in third. Fiji and Samoa will be heading to the Rugby World Cup in September. In the Africa Cup, last week's action saw South Africa defeat Kenya 19-12 and then defeat Madagascar 61-17. That gave them the victory in the competition. Kenya came second after beating Uganda 47-0. And in the battle for the wooden spoon, Uganda got up over Madagascar 24-20. Final results in this one: South Africa first, Kenya second, Uganda third, and Madagascar in fourth. South Africa will be representing Africa in the Rugby World Cup this year. Other international action from last week: Brazil took down Colombia, classic, 58-7. Two club results. Now let's look at the final of the URC. This was Leinster taking on Bulls. Those Vodacom Bulls from South Africa. Now Leinster went into this one with a bit of pressure as they have been failing in finals for the last few seasons. The Bulls have made 3 finals out of 4. Could they get the victory? Short answer, no. Leinster won this one 32-7. The Bulls didn't score until the second half, and by then Leinster looked pretty dominant. They never let the Bulls get into this game. Well done, Leinster, your URC champions for 2025. Top 14 action, our qualifying finals. We saw 4th place Bayonne down the 5th place Clermont 20-3. 3rd place Toulon got their spot in the semi-finals after beating Kishas 52-23. In the promotion relegation game, could Grenoble do it? They took on Perpignan, who finished 13th in the top 14. And Perpignan won this one with a 77th minute penalty to Damaso Allen. This one finished 13-11. Grenoble, oh so close to bringing their dominant 8th wonder of the world style to the top 14 next season. They will be going into D2 as heavy favourites. Premiership final. This one was top of the table, Bath versus Leicester. Bath had already won the Premiership Rugby Cup and the Challenge Cup. Could they make it 3 from 3? In the second half, they were looking good. I was up in the middle of the night watching this second half. They were up 20-7 with 15 minutes left. Then Leicester got a converted try. Then Bath got a controversial yellow card. Bath took the lead up to 23-14. Leicester scored with a few minutes left, making this one 23-21, and Bath held on. Leicester gave away the ball in the final minutes with a box kick, and that was mighty unfortunate because Bath never let them get the ball again. Your Premiership Rugby champions for 2025, Bath Rugby. Now to our Super Rugby Pacific semi-finals from last weekend, and quite simply, I don't want to talk about it. My beloved Blues were up 14-0 away from home in Christchurch against the Crusaders and ended up going down 21-14. There was something like 38 phases at the end where the Crusaders were dominant and they were tackling, and the Blues just couldn't get over the line. The Crusaders deserve to win this one, and they will be hosting the final. And who will that final be against? Well, it's not going to be against the Brumbies. Yet again, 4th season in a row, they have lost a semi-final in New Zealand. This time to the Chiefs. 37-17. Brumbies were in it a little bit in the first half and then really fell off the pace. Brumbies, as always, looking like a great third-place team in Super Rugby Pacific. The final this weekend will be the Crusaders and the Chiefs. Now, Major League Rugby results. We had our Eastern Conference and Western Conference semi-finals. One of these games was disrupted by a day or two due to weather, and that was the Houston Sabercats defeating RFC LA 27-21. In the other Western semi-final, the Utah Warriors defeated the Seattle Seawolves 23-21. Very close games in the West, Utah and Houston advancing. Top of the East, New England Free Jacks defeated the Miami Sharks 32-10, and the Chicago Hounds beat Old Glory DC 27-16. It is New England versus Chicago in the Eastern Conference final, a repeat of 2024. Now, Super Rugby Americas action. It was the 4th place Dogos away from home against Penarol, and this one finished 35-34. It was close. It was great. There was a lot going on. This Penarol team is made up no, I wouldn't say that, but a fair amount of the Uruguayan national team are in this squad, and they just took down Dogos and are your new champions of Super Rugby Americas 2025. Congratulations, Penarol. Now to New Zealand domestic club rugby. We haven't started the NPC or the Heartland Championship yet, but your Ranfurly Shield holders, Taranaki, had a defence last week against their neighbours, the King Country. This one finished Taranaki 78, King Country 7. Now, Taranaki did have a few Super Rugby players on their team. Now, to women's club results, let's talk about Women's Elite Rugby from the United States. Each of the 6 teams have played 10 games each, and we have our finalists. It will be the Denver Onyx taking on the New York Exiles in 2 weeks for the Legacy Cup. Cool. All right. Quick word about me, about Big Mike. If you want to talk to me, if you want me to talk about any teams, any competitions, any games, or whatever, how about you reach out to me? Best ways to do that: Big Mike Sports NZ, Instagram, YouTube, X. Also commenting on that Spotify link, commenting on the other links that we put out there as well. Thank you, and let's keep on talking about rugby. All right, speaking of feedback, last week I got a bit of mention. Little bit out there. Few players out there on my listeners. Like the comment about Andre the Giant. Yeah, I'll try and sneak in a few more wrestling things for you lads. See what comes out of the big man's mouth. And in news this week, it is pretty significant news for Australian club rugby. Now, Australia has announced that Super Rugby Australia, which was the tournament that took part in the pandemic, it will return. Now, this will happen at the end of the year, last few months of the year. This is the 4 Super Rugby teams from Australia facing off against each other for the crown. This is great because this is a gap in Australia's rugby. They have club teams and then they jump all the way up. And by club teams, I mean club teams, not like Auckland or Natal in South Africa. I'm talking about club teams, where you played when you were under 6. They've got these teams and then they jump all the way up to Super Rugby. There's no middle ground before these teams are taking on the Crusaders and the Chiefs. The last tournament like this was the NRC, which some of you may remember. It ran in Australia from 2014 to 2019, and this was the tournament that introduced us to the Drua. All right, let's look forward to this upcoming week in rugby. We are going to start with international men's action. We will start with the Asia Rugby Championship. It is round 2. It is Korea taking on the UAE, and Hong Kong taking on Sri Lanka. If Korea and Hong Kong win, they will be facing off next week for a spot in the World Cup. How amazing is that for these guys? In our big international news from this week, it is the start of the British and Irish Lions tour as they host Argentina, the Pumas. So, let's talk a little bit about the Lions because we haven't mentioned them too much so far this season. They were named a few weeks ago. Their head coach is Andy Farrell, who we know is at the helm of the Irish national team. Their captain is Maro Itoje, the big strong lock from England. There are 10 games on this tour. Their last tour to Australia was in 2013. And the Lions won that one 2-1. It was also the last time they won a tour. In 2017, we all remember that draw in the third game at Eden Park, 1-1 with the All Blacks. And in 2021, during the pandemic with barely anyone in the crowd, the Lions did tour South Africa, but South Africa won 2-1. This is a 38-player squad. In their squad, there are 15 Irish players, 13 English players, 8 Scots, and 2 Welsh, the lowest members or the lowest amount of Welsh players in the squad ever. Only 14 of these 38 players toured South Africa in 2021. So far, unfortunately, Scotland's Xander Ferguson, a prop, has withdrawn due to injury and he has been replaced in the squad by Ireland's Finlay Bealham. Now, let's look forward to this game this weekend. They are going to take on Argentina before flying to Australia and starting their tour next weekend against the Western Force. The last time these two teams met was in 2005 before they came to New Zealand, and it was a 25-all draw. The Lions are known for not being able to field their strongest squad in these opening games, and they are a warm-up to see how everything's going, but a bit of a trial for the boys before they get moving on. This game's going to be at Aviva Stadium in Dublin. Now, 15 of the Lions squad were in the finals last weekend. This is the URC final, the Premiership final. 3 English players have been called up just for this week. As of recording, they have not named their squad. Now, Argentina, they also have named a weaker side, as we are not technically in the international window yet, and they have players still playing in France and the USA. Argentina have named 11 players from Super Rugby Americas in their 32-man squad for this weekend. Reminder, last year, Argentina beat France, New Zealand, South Africa, and Australia. And we also have this weekend an England 15 taking on a France 15. Now let's get to club games. Wow, the URC, done. The Premiership, done. But we can talk about the top 14 as we have our semi-finals this weekend. It is the top 4 from the table. No surprises here. We have Toulouse, top of the table, hosting Bayonne. Now, in the 3 games they've played so far this season, Bayonne have won 2, although they were around those big Champions Cup weekends. The other semi-final is second versus third, Bordeaux taking on Toulon. Bordeaux are our Champions Cup final winners, our champions. They won against Toulon in December 21-17, lost to Toulon 27-10 in June after winning that championship. Big games this weekend in our top 14. Last thing I saw about the French squad that will be coming to New Zealand, they always name a bit of a weaker squad in June, but they will be able to pick 5 players from each team that make it to the final. Not going to be enough. They need the full strength coming down to Aotearoa. All right, let's look at the Super Rugby Pacific final. I don't want to talk about it, but I will. It's the Crusaders versus the Chiefs. It is a repeat of the 2023 final, where the Crusaders beat the Blues in the semi-finals and the Chiefs beat the Brumbies. The last championship that the Crusaders had in Super Rugby was in 2023. The last time the Chiefs were champions was in 2013. They have the longest streak in New Zealand out of the 5 New Zealand teams of having not won the big one. In February, the Chiefs won 49-24. In May, the Chiefs won in Christchurch 35-19. This will be the last chance for some of those All Black spots to be taken. It's going to act as an unofficial All Blacks trial as well as your Super Rugby Pacific final. Both teams this season won 11 games, lost 3, and they won their semi-finals last weekend. The news coming out of Christchurch this week is they have banned the cowbells that the Chiefs fans love to play. The intimidation of the cowbells was too much. And as we all know, that guy that sings the songs over the songs in Christchurch and everyone sings along, that he needs to be heard. It's the worst part about watching games in Christchurch, just having a guy sing over Sweet Caroline. But hey, that's Christchurch for you. Have you been there? It's pretty white. And Major League Rugby time. We have our Eastern Conference final. It is the New England Free Jacks, first place, taking on the Chicago Hounds in second place. Now, New England did beat Chicago for the Eastern Conference Championships in 2024. Can they make it another championship for them? They are the 2-time defending Major League Rugby champions. Can the Chicago Hounds, who have been so hot and yet had big drop-offs this season, cause the upset? In March, Chicago won this game 36-7. In May, New England won 27-17. In the other game, it is our Western Conference final. The Utah Warriors are hosting the Houston SaberCats. Now, Houston will have a disrupted week after their game was postponed last weekend due to that weather, and then they've got to travel to Utah. Houston have won both games these two teams have played this season. Houston are the only finalist in these conferences that did not win 11 games. They only won 10, losing 6. And you know what? That's it. There aren't any other games coming up this weekend. It is a very slender weekend, but there's a lot of big things happening with that Super Rugby final, with the Lions kicking off. So let's talk about our big 3 games. If you've only got time to watch one, see one, follow one, whatever, hey, how about you make sure it's one of these guys? I don't even have any honourable mentions this week. I think there's 9 games this weekend. 9. That's it. And we're not talking international games, just 9 games. Okay, our big 3 games this weekend. We are starting off with the British and Irish Lions taking on the beautiful Pumas from Argentina in Ireland. Both teams are a bit weaker, but the Pumas will be looking for a huge scalp to start off their season. They will be hosting a weakened England side and Uruguay in the June window before starting the Rugby Championship. In the top 14, I have chosen a semi-final, and I have chosen second versus third, Bordeaux versus Toulon. This has been an even contest this season. Can Bordeaux win the big one after winning the big one? And our Super Rugby Pacific final. It is the Crusaders. It is the Chiefs. Nobody in my house wants to watch it, but we still will. It's going to be a mighty good game. And when the All Blacks are named, most of the players are going to come from these 2 teams. The Hurricanes, the Blues, they might sneak in 4 or 5 players. Okay, that is your week coming up. So that's it from me, guys. Coming to the end of some beautiful, beautiful club rugby seasons. But we are also on the eve of that June and July international window. We're a couple of months away from the Women's World Cup. Things can only go up from here in the world of rugby, so I want each and every single one of you to have a beautiful week and watch some beautiful rugby.